use that
So you can
parameter.
take
It never
temperatures?
leaked, like I said.
Yes.
It's never leaked in or since, but it didn't like 20-degree weather.
I got
If I
the
do that, I'll say you've
on
got your, if
Sorry?
I do that, I'll say that you have a
I have
temperature.
pressure on it.
So you gotta
I have to take a hammer and beat up, so I can plug it back in. Cindy, here's this very valuable certificate.
Oh,
of
good.
completion.
I appreciate
Very high
everyone that
quality.
took it, yes. That was a good,
It
good
was pretty
webinar.
good. She was good.
Yeah,
learned some
I
stuff.
thought she was really good.
Oh, just that class you had from my work day, I couldn't do that. So
Yeah, she was really good. I wish you guys could have
I
taken
still
it.
need Brown Act, and years ago you told me I needed
AB 1234. Sexual harassment, AB
You got conflicts of
1234.
interest yet or no?
Huh?
Conflict of interest, you got that?
I did
Ethics.
that.
The ethics training, it's called Ethics 1234.
Whatever, I need to do that somewhere.
Yeah, I think everybody's gonna need to probably.
I'm not waiting.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon and welcome to the June 15th, 2020 Lake Don Pedro Community Services meeting. If the secretary please note, we do have a quorum. Director Hankmeyer communicated he will be here just a few minutes late, and we will note that when he comes in, the time and stuff like that. So we're going to start by the clock on the wall that says 1:05 p.m. And if you could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, I appreciate it. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, before we get started, anybody from the public have a comment on anything that's not on the agenda? Would you like to make a comment on it?
No, I just wanted to come up with things that I've been before.
I'm just going to make a comment about one thing, and then I'm going to leave because my foot hurts. But anyway, we went through an awful lot of crap this past year on lots, and lots that could have water, couldn't have water, etc. You may remember it, and maps, and etc. And already this year we're up to 17 lots with new meters, well, not necessarily new meters, but with meters that we're getting paid $5,000 for. And those could be new lots. And I noticed that we're also in the budget, we're doing the same thing for next year, almost the same amount. I'd like to make sure that each one of those lots that we have put a new meter on are on properties that are within the original district, the original district that the state just approved in last year, and that people are not making a rush because they thought they're not going to get water because they're outside the place of use or any of that kind of stuff. But just a confirmation from the board, and we also have a policy that says we will not allow water to any outside, anybody that does not have, that's involved in the outside place of use, or not outside place of use.
Wes, there's a moratorium.
I'm sorry?
There's a moratorium on hookups outside place of use.
A moratorium. I don't
It
even
has not been rescinded by this board.
I'm sorry?
It has not been rescinded by this board or voted.
Okay, it's a moratorium. Well,
And we
I
are
know-
following
I
that.
know,
Anyway, I won't
And
take
we
up
are
more
following
of-
that.
We are.
We are following that.
I won't take up more of your time. I'm just saying I think it would be right and proper to make sure that we don't have any lots that are outside, so we don't get the same going. And I'm not sure where you're going to get 17 more lots next year for your budget. Because we're supposed to be out here, the whole county is only supposed to be growing, what, a couple of houses or something a year?
Okay, thank
The
you.
question would be for Cindy, what do we do? What's their
It's
procedure?
taken care of. Cindy has it dialed in, and we are a mapping system, which the district paid a lot of money for to make sure everything's in there. That's the first thing.
I'm just asking Cindy to describe the procedure.
Well, the procedure is very simple. We have a moratorium, as Emery stated, and if you're inside the subdivision, you can, if you're inside, you get hooked up. We cannot hook up anybody else to outside place of use. So they're not gonna jeopardize or, yeah.
I understand that, I just wonder what her procedure is.
My procedure is that when someone calls, wants a meter, whether it's a title company, a customer, whatever, then we go into the mapping system and we research it and see if it's within the MID place of use, and if it is, then we sell them a meter if it's never been metered before. If it's
The first step is to confirm within our documents that it's.
yes, and then if I have a title company contact me and I see that there is one that's outside, which I don't think there's been any, possibly one customer that called, they're at the way end of Arbolada that we don't sell to anyways, we don't even have pipes going there. So I do, instead of doing my normal paperwork, I contact the title company and let them know the details of that. Most all the title companies already have. They already know to contact us. They are aware. They already have a copy of that resolution. I've sent it out to a lot of title companies and stuff. But when anyone calls, we research it first.
And regardless of who answers the phone,
Yes.
Whether in the past, Ann or new staff, myself, we send it to Cindy because we don't speculate on. Oh yeah, I think you're in there. We boom.
Yes.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Now,
So
and if
it's-
there's one that has come through that are within that MID boundary, I make a note on that account that it's within the boundary. That way, if I'm off sick or out for the day or something, which
Populate, so you look it up.
it's, all they have to do is go in there and see, yes, it is.
Okay, I'm only asking, I just don't want to go through the crap we went through last year.
No, we're not
And I
gonna-
know we've had a comment about something about waterboarding or doing something to get extra customers in that are outside of the area. And so the intent was in the back of my mind, so. Thank you very, I'm sorry?
Water trans,
Well, it was water wheeling or something.
Yeah, it's the same water wheeling, water trick.
Regardless of what it was, the
Right, right.
intent was out to do the system.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
See you later, Ross.
Thank you. Any other public comment before we get started? Okay. All right, Patrick, I'm not gonna, I don't have anything to report this time. I'll go directly to you for your general manager's report.
Thank you. Hello all. What we've been working on is in the report. Feel free to fire away with any questions if you have any. We've gotten a lot done as of late, especially within the treatment plant, within our operating budget. We're still just plugging along on all the items in which I feel is the direction we need to go. I don't have a whole lot to talk about other than what's here. I'm going to be reactive and answer you guys' questions instead of talking you guys' ear off.
Okay, Emery, any questions or comments?
well, we went to the little class last month, whatever it was, and it says we can't ask you questions. What we can ask you is, can you clarify something or put it on next month?
Yes.
So I have no questions, because I'm not allowed to ask questions.
He's
Okay.
speaking about the Brown Act training that,
Yes.
because the general manager is a presentation only, you can ask for clarification, but it's not like a discussion action item. So you can ask for clarification if you don't
Or put it on
understand.
next month's agenda.
Yeah, if there's something that I'm feeling, if you guys want,
Yeah.
you know me, I'll touch base on everything and just talk your ear off.
That's right.
And as you guys see, I'm going in the same direction I've been planning on it. But a couple of things, highlighting preliminary engineering reports really helping us out, or it will help us out, going after the large ticket items.
Well, let me ask for clarification. Your first thing on here says water rate study discussion.
Yeah.
So how do we discuss that if we could only ask for clarification?
I know, well, here, I will bring up the water rate study. So the reason that I think there should definitely be some, this is something I want to speak with you guys about, is we've moved forward with this. We've had this study. We have the models back. Timing, this is a timing issue. This is something that has to happen within our district, just to continue to be able to continue the upkeep of our system. Rates do need to increase, according to our experts we hired, according to, if you look at every other district around. So with that, the timing of this pandemic, just kind of the overall state of what our world's sitting in right now, I don't know if it's real great to, right now, sitting in June, hey, we're in the middle of summer when people start using water to start raising rates. I don't think that works. That's not beneficial to our customers. It doesn't help out anything. We need that funding as soon as possible. However, it's something that I think coming up, concerted effort to try to minimize the damage that the rate increase is going to do, or just the cost, maybe something in the winter. So
I think some of that conversation too, that maybe you had with NBS, sorry to add to it, but they were discussing, so many people have lost jobs and different things at this time.
yeah.
And so a lot of the water districts are doing, certain things as far as, payment, and not doing the increases yet. Not that they're not.
Russ?
Well, my feeble memory is telling me that I'm on a committee that has to do with the rates, and that the committee hasn't had any discussions whatsoever about this. I think it's in the committee's department, actually. Probably not so much yours as it is the committee's.
Are we discussing now?
Then a lot of that had to do with public meetings, and if we can't have public meetings at the high school, then we can't even start the procedure to discuss the rate structure.
Start the procedure for the rate structure. What is
I
the
mean,
rate
what I'm
structure?
saying is that if we have a committee that's supposed to be involved in it, especially the public side of it, and the rate discussion, we were going to have public meetings, we were going to go to the high school, we were going to have a big thing, it was going to be published in the papers, it was going to be wide open thing, but because of the fact that we're all spread out and some are wearing masks, that's probably not on a table
Those
right
and
now.
these we hired the experts to do that, to sell this for us. They're the people that are going to be presenting this and
The
doing
way
this.
I remember it.
Yeah, but what,
Somebody put me in.
the NBS presents it for us, but what he's saying, I think, is because of this COVID-19, we can't have a big public meeting at the school. We have to wait until the states allow something like that. Is
I
that
think
what
we're
I'm
probably
hearing?
We're 2 or 3 months at least minimum from.
So with that, I just the timing is that's what I want the discussion on. When do we want to start this process moving
Probably
forward?
3 months out, I would guess. I think it's something we need to look at.
Well, then some of the
2 or 3 months.
committee. The committee is that the two of you on the committee?
I can't remember who's on.
I think
We're supposed
it's
to be discussing this.
Nellie and him. We can put it on the next agenda or do a committee meeting. I think it's Nellie and
Maybe.
Russ. Are you on the finance committee?
I don't know. Hope not.
Yeah, I
was
think-
Nellie and
Hankemeyer.
Dan on
Yeah.
that finance, but I think this was something.
So you can meet with the committee without me posting it or anything. And then we can put on another agenda to see.
Is the committee you're thinking
You
about?
can't do anything until the state
I
tells
don't
you you
know,
can have a
we
big public
signed
meeting.
committees 3 months ago.
Yeah, we've been on the same ones.
Yeah,
We
so I
haven't
don't
used them
know.
that much, yeah.
And I think that's why you were holding off, Patrick.
Well, yeah, I was holding off on that. It's just horrible time right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I think the logic that you're applying is applicable to where we're at with all the other issues with the state.
And speaking with the firm, that most of their other clients are in the same boat.
So I think Russ's comments go back to logic as well. So let's not try to do this in the middle of the summer, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
We can't meet, so let's put it off. We can get everything, kind of start lining up everything.
Yeah.
Have the committee talk, what kind of communications do we want to have, justifications, all of those things. And then start, I'll say, letting it get out to the public. I mean, if anybody's reading this
I'm trying to
agenda, we're saying we need it. Now we just got to tell the story why we need it and why it's important for us and so on and so forth.
Can I suggest we put it on the September agenda to discuss? July, August, September, that's far enough out to where things should have stabilized in 90+ days.
I would like to go ahead and have the discussion, so if there's any work that needs to be done come September time, if we're ready to start, I'll say going out to the public, we already had our discussion in Bureau.
60 days, 90 days, but
Yeah.
premature at this
More
point.
so, I wanted to bring this up, so I didn't want to not speak about the rate study, just
Right.
it's sitting there. So the discussion was, and at this time, they are not working for us, so we are not signing invoices to them monthly either at this
Right.
time, which is, it's a good thing. So everything's kind of at a lull. So, yeah. I will touch, our Irwin, every grant, I've been with the district for a year, as of last week. So, one thing I will touch on is, all the grants have been closed out, which has been amazing to get that out of our way, because that was rough, just trying to track them all. We've been paid, everything looks good, we're done with the grants. And with that, one more comment I'd like to say is looking at page, it's not so much on my report, but page 7, and I wanted to go out of my way to give credit where credit's due. Working with Cindy, working alongside Cindy, June's treasurer's report last year looks a lot different than this year's, and with the steps we've taken, for the most part, the largest one is the district's doing our own work now. I think we show what a year of doing our own work will do to our bank account, and in addition, we got a lot of work done too. So, yeah.
Good. I want to ask for clarification. On the whole system meter audit, I read this, and I don't know if I can ask for clarification for the percentage completed and your findings. What are you finding on this meter audit, so I can understand,
From my understanding, there's been hundreds done. We're looking at 300 to 400 right now. I haven't counted the exact list. The findings have ranged all over the place. We're finding numerous meters. As you could see, I listed in our report, in my report later down on operations, they're replacing meters left and right. They're finding meters that don't work. So we're not capturing, we're not making the money off those, They're finding small leaks. This morning, Augustine called in to the front office and had a service order created to replace the box, the meter box. Little things like that sitting backwards. We've seen meters backwards. The AMRs, the wires, the AMRs have been chewed. We found one illegal connection, I think, right when we started, but it's very valuable. And just getting out there, and we got a thank you note too. Was that 2 weeks ago from someone who just saw the district out there working in there, went and talked to them, and then also I think it was Augustine. He helped them pinpoint a leak on their property while he was there. So we're getting out there working, but I don't think it's been done, but there's been a lot uncovered. I don't know the exact percentage.
This is, I think, a phenomenal thing that they're doing, probably way overdue or past or whatever. It'd be good if, from a report standpoint, to include pros and cons or what you're finding, and so we should, you can demonstrate the value of the time in it. And if you said, like you said, you found 15 or 20 meters not working, and we're wondering why our percent of water loss is so high, cha-ching. I mean, it kind of goes back hand. Not that that's going to, it's all relevant. It's all good information. So I applaud you. I like to know more and understand what are we finding. And, again, it's a good communication to the public that, and like you said, the public sees you guys out there, and cha-ching. If someone's thinking about doing something wrong, maybe they won't, because they go, the district is out here doing this thing. Now they're getting hands-on. If I'm stealing water, I'm going to get caught.
They haven't found a whole lot of stealing water.
I know. I'm just going that way because of past experiences.
Yeah, and we're going to find that. But so far, it's been good. For the most part, we have one person on that throughout the week. Just with the schedule, the way you have it scheduled, you're getting you're probably getting about 40 hours a week combined of everybody out there doing that meter audit, so it's taking a little bit, but we'll be all right.
Okay. I liked everything else. On clarification on site inspections, I know you're doing this on a regular or routine basis. Weekly.
Yeah.
So what are you, again, what are you learning? What are you finding? How's this helping the district? You don't have to answer the question. You can add it to next month. But that is something that would probably be very beneficial again, because we're using our resources and we're going to improve our system's reliability, so on and so forth. And then my last thing for clarification, I know you want to start using the tablets. I am not a computer whiz by any means, so I'm not opposed to it, but I said maybe we need to do board training before we launch.
I think that's an item on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my last thing for clarification, loss in transmission explained for clarification on the water loss report, because it shows 11.32. And I didn't know what that meant, so I didn't know if that meant loss in transmission from
No,
the
that's
lake.
not, that's your water loss.
Okay, so
21%.
I saw that part, I read that, but I didn't know what loss in transmission.
It's just the way,
What page are we on?
I'm on page number,
and there's no way to make that form bigger.
that's okay, I can read it, but I just didn't know what transmission.
Five?
Yeah.
Five?
That's our water loss. So with that, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about water loss with that. System water loss nationwide averages from average system water loss of 16 to system water loss is 16% average in a distribution system. In an aging distribution system, average could go up to 30%. You know, and that's just what the AWWA says.
Okay,
Not saying that we should be happy with our 21%, because we should never be happy, but to continue doing the little things we're doing with the meters, to hopefully get this valve fixed and get the pump fixed, you know, these things are going to help out that water loss number. Prior, a few months back, there was errors on the data collection and on the data entry. So, you know, and so we cleaned that up. I believe this is as accurate as I can, and I spend more time on this water loss thing, which doesn't show, but I spend more time on the water loss thing than almost anything throughout the month, just trying to make sure that it is accurate, that I'm seeing everything, because it's a real easy concept. It seems like it, but when you start thinking about it, it gets kind of murkied up. But however, the 21%, you know, we need to improve that.
well, number one, I'll tell you, out of being here for almost 8 years, I never heard the statement made by any of our managers that the average water loss in other systems is around 16%.
Oh, it's 16, yeah, that's,
But we were, I'm going to say, uneducated, and therefore when we've had substantially higher water loss numbers, and this board has pushed for that, that was been a bone of contention, because we want to do better for the community and the district and save money and all that. But this is the first time I've ever heard that number, so kind of takes some of the edge off.
yeah.
And so, okay, maybe we're not as bad as we think we are.
Yeah.
You can go.
Yeah, well, you think, so the reason that 11 lost in transmissions, 11 acre feet, 11 times 163, that's just the amount of, so we paid $163 an acre foot, so we lost that water and then the power. So there is a loss of a couple $1,000 a month for that water loss. So it is something substantial.
Yeah.
However, it's not as scary as it sounds, but we're working on it, and
Oh, that's good.
I'm confident it's going to get better.
Okay.
You know, the problem with Danny with what we just did is that there is a discussion. The public may want to have been here to comment on that. That's the reason we're not supposed to discuss this stuff. You could put on next month's agenda, water loss. It made sense to me when they said it at the meeting, because Pete used to complain about it. No, he'd say, no, it's not on the agenda, but it does make sense. If we want to discuss this, put it on so the public could be here, because somebody may want to comment on it. And that no one knew that we were going to sit here and discuss that, other than you were going to just clarify it. I think we should really stick to that, not ask, put it on, want to know more, ask next, and put it on next time. there may be somebody who wants to, comment on water laws. This gentleman here, maybe, I don't know, he came for here, but maybe there may be something in here that he wants.
So you're saying that even that sheet should have been on the agenda? The water law sheet and the MID levels that we were putting on the agenda should be on, or should be?
You can make it an agendized item.
He's
You
talking
can
about
have-
your entire manager's report being an agenda item, when normally it's just for presentation information only.
You make those items agendized and it says discussion or action or whatever. Because it doesn't say that, really. It just says, there's your report. All those little things. If you're going to discuss them, then the public has a right to know.
Well, the
And
public can comment on as it is. It's just that if
They
it
don't
opens up to
know.
discussions.
They don't know that that's going to be, talked about it.
Well, anything in this packet, we give the public an opportunity to make a comment on it if they're sitting here.
Some things say discussion, action. We're going to vote on stuff.
Mhm.
They definitely would get a chance to, before we vote, to make a comment, As far as, we make, they get to discuss at the beginning, a comment, and then I guess they want to open it up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy. You want to open it up for discussion on an item like this? You could. Before, I think we used just to do the whole general manager's report, right?
Well, I think what he's doing now is clarifying his report, which is basically the same as, just,
Well,
but you're not making, you guys are not making any decision on anything that's in his report.
it's,
And that's what
Maybe
makes
you
the
should say
difference.
general manager report discussion. No decision.
well,
Then we could discuss it, right?
we're not making any decisions on anything on his report. We're
Or we
asking,
could discuss
For
it.
we're
clarification.
just discussing it or
But there's
clarifying.
I said if we said general manager report discussion.
Well, in order
on
to-
water rate study, it says discussion right on the topic.
So-
Yeah, so
Right.
if he wants to put these are discussion items only, we're not gonna make any action. The only action item that could potentially come out of his report is, would you please put it on the agenda for next month?
Yeah.
That would be the only thing that, and then if anybody wants this and sees it, if the public sees this agenda or these topics and they have questions, they also have the opportunity to contact him directly and say, can you clarify this or can we discuss this? So if they don't come here, there's still another avenue for them to
Well,
pursue.
what I'll do is ask the woman that presented it, and I'll let you know next time.
Put it on the agenda then, for we all have it, so,
Well, see if we're doing it right. I mean, I think
Well-
it's better than it was, but
Well, the one thing that I feel like if you put the general manager's report as a discussion action item, then he has to have supporting documents on
Yeah.
everything that's underneath there. So you're gonna have, yeah.
and that's why, I think if we ask for clarification or expanded, give us it, if we want to take it further, would you please put this on, bring us more information next month? I think that's, and I want to kind of, if we're doing it wrong today, we've been doing it wrong since I've been here for 8 years. So,
And she specifically said general manager report.
Okay.
At that
Yeah.
time.
And it may-
That caught my attention because
Okay, but-
apparently everybody does it the
I
wrong way.
believe, my interpretation, we talked about our interpretation, what's earlier was on, from the Brown Act training that I went through, is that because I guess people could hide stuff in a general manager's report. Just
Yeah.
filibuster, I presented it, so the bullet points and kind of breaking out what the gist of it is, but, okay.
I'm not an expert, I just.
Yeah,
so I guess because I tried to get on the training, couldn't, I apologize. So my clarification is, are we allowed to discuss the items in your report or not? I want
You're allowed to ask for clarification.
Okay.
And that's what you're doing, and when he explains it,
Okay.
it's not as much as a discussion as he's explaining to clarify what your question
But
was.
when we get into a back and forth, that's a discussion, right? You just clarify, say thanks. If you start discussing it, then it's something different. Be
As long
clear.
as you're not making a motion on it, as long as you can't make a motion on it,
Did
you
you
can't
go-
make a decision on
Did
it.
you go to that last training or not?
No, but I've been to a number of trainings.
Well, this one surprised me. Because
Okay.
they did mention the general manager report.
So as long as we're staying within the parameters of the Brown Act, and we're not making any decisions, and like, for clarification, if I, to me, when you have to clarify, you're gonna discuss, I mean, because you're gonna talk.
Yeah.
So that becomes a discussion.
Yes.
But I think what we have to be careful of is start round robining up here, because then it does. If it's you clarifying, discussing, or communicating with what every board member can listen. I don't know how else to get through this.
Yeah, I
You know,
agree.
so I appreciate the insight and information, and if you want to put some of these items, like, you know, like what you're doing on the whole system meter audit, to show the benefits to the public of what we're doing here, I think that's a great communication piece to any other area. The site inspection to educate the board, I think that's a great thing for us to have. I mean, that's just,
I will do that.
Sounds good. If in next month, we can discuss it, and if other people don't want it, then we can take it off and not do it again,
Okay.
okay?
My only caution that I would for the board, just for in the future, if he puts things like that as an action item or a discussion item on there, I would caution that the board does not start stepping out of their realm of making policies and things where you get into micromanaging, basically, when that occurs.
You're exactly right, and that's what you were talking about too. You make a statement, and it's as if we approved it, and that's not acceptable.
No, this is for education. I'm looking for education, not for policy or procedure, because all I'm trying to do is understand.
Right, and I was just letting you know where sometimes that could lead if we, you know, at least on my trainings that I've had and the secretary trainings up, you have to caution that that's why sometimes these reports are presentation only, information only, is so that the board does not get entangled in making decisions and micromanaging that they shouldn't, because that's when you start having grand jury come in, different things like that, you know, I'm just saying caution, however you guys want to do it is fine, but that's what I would caution against. If you're going to list it where you guys can have full, other than gathering information from his report, then I would just caution you, especially you as a president, to run the meetings as if it's not micromanaging.
Okay. So what I'll do now is there any other clarification needed on Patrick's report? If that, I'm looking around, everybody shaking their head no, so then we're gonna move on to the approval of the consent agenda, which is pages 7 through 17. And,
I have something to say about that.
okay,
Sorry, I'm talking more than usual.
that's all right, I like it.
Whoever would like to approve the consent calendar, when they go to approve it, I ask that they approve it with a change in the minutes, because I have Director Ross as conducting that meeting when it should have been Johnson. That's what copy and paste does, and I caught it this morning after rereading it.
Okay,
So
thank
just
you, 'cause I read it and
approve,
I didn't catch it either, so.
approve with corrections.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. So let's go to the public first. Any comments on the consent calendar or whatever we had from last month? I'm just trying to follow protocol because I forget to ask that question, so.
No, I don't have any questions for
Okay,
that.
so I'm gonna bring it back to the board.
I approve it with changes.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve it with changes.
Second.
I have a couple of questions, and
Okay, so we'll go to the board before we get that approval, so hang on.
Okay.
Yes, sir, what page?
on page 14.
Okay,
And I just would like to get a clarification on some of these expenditures, like the one for $23,000 and the one for $10,000.
I'm thinking I'm not even, 23,000 is insurance, JPIA, and then 10,000 is the barge, maybe? I'm going
yes,
to.
Yes.
you're perfectly correct.
Um,
That's correct, Patrick.
yeah, 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Twin Lakes is the fabrication of the barge.
And the insurance that covers, what's the insurance for?
That's our insurance, our health insurance for JPIA.
All right.
Yeah,
I guess I could have caught.
and we see, well, yeah, and checks from that, because they do the insurance, and then also we have a membership, a large
Yeah.
membership fee through JPIA. It comes out, it came out a few months ago too, and hey,
Yeah.
you questioned me on that too, so, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr.
So I'll
Russ,
second it.
okay, so we had a motion
And Ross seconded.
And,
Second.
and Emery second already.
All right.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
You have a unanimous vote, thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on now to the first discussion and action item. It's the approval and adoption of the preliminary budget, which is pages 18 through 21.
With that, I wanted to,
So let me go to the public for comment.
sorry.
It's okay, I'm learning this stuff, you know. Any comments, sir?
No,
Okay, thank you.
I just came mainly to learn about the board. I didn't come in with any concerns.
Okay, well, this is, I always forget to go to the public, so I forget to go to the public, so I'm trying to get better. Because we get up here and we get going like a train going downhill with no brakes, so trying to be as respectful and include everybody. Okay,
Looks like he's old.
yeah. All right, so let's bring it back to the board for comment. Emery? Russ? Nellie? Mr. Dan? Comments on the preliminary budget?
I had a question and I don't see it here now.
Oh, I know what it was. It's gonna come up later. Never mind.
Okay. I have a clarifying question. I noticed that right now we're projecting about 50K more in water service charges. And what I'm looking at is 1, 2, 3, first page of the budget, fourth line down, right-hand column, where we were at 963 last year, and we're projecting 1,010,000, 11,000. I just thought, okay, are we going to collect that much more out of service charges? I mean, I just thought about it, and I thought, okay,
No, this is this is a plug and paste from our CPA.
Okay.
They're additional adding on to
Okay.
the increases.
Okay.
And that's why it's a preliminary.
Okay.
I've made my modifications. Our end, the district's end is ready to go, and our CPAs are as well. It's just this time of year they're doing this for everybody else. But yeah, they put the increase on our revenue on that. That's not gonna happen.
Well, that's, the reason I'm
Yeah.
asking, Patrick, is I noticed that, we'll still be at $90,000. I go to the bottom line, because I don't read it every frickin' line.
Yeah.
And I noticed, okay, that we're still short $90,000.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of that 50,000, I said, okay, 90,000 plus the 50,000, 150, then I saw a couple other areas that went up, and I'm thinking, okay, regular pay per plant, we're going from 140 to 180, I'm thinking, wow, Kate, is that because Augustine's gonna
Yeah.
be here for the full year?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have that on top of it.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me concerned on the numbers. That's why I was asking my
Yeah.
question, so.
Yeah, with that, because technically, the Augustine's position under plant wasn't fully funded,
Mhm.
but I knew that we were gonna, we'd
Right.
make it up on other areas, which we have. So I wanted just to make sure that was covered, so that's a little higher. In addition with that, there's some step increases that may be coming other way over there with certifications and just being here, meeting the criteria, so I wanted to pad that number to make
Okay.
sure.
So when I look at the budget, I mean, if you look at, we could be easily 10 to 15% over what our revenues are. So are you gonna go back and make this what I'll call a zero-sum budget, where we look at our true revenues and true costs and make those adjustments before the final budget?
I'm going to try to. I wanted, there's some decisions to be made today moving forward, and those could affect the budget. So,
Okay.
so with that, last year I know we didn't have a zero-sum budget.
Okay.
However, we came in well under budget. But I'd like to. That's the way I like to work that. I went the areas I made specific changes in. They were fairly bold, and the way I have my CIP projects that are going to be broken down, I'm not overfunding anything. You know what I mean? I'm trying to go that line item, and like vehicles, we went over $25,000 on fixing vehicles last year.
Mhm.
However, we're not going to do that again this year because those vehicles are fixed now. So I think I have a good grasp on this budget. I know where all of our money is being spent, and I'm confident in it. It's just we still have a month until, or 2 weeks until that budget's gonna be done, right? Or it's next month.
Yeah, and one of the things that you and I discussed on that water service charges was that he doesn't have the numbers of what our water service charges are going to be from the NBS and the rate study and all of that, so he has to plug a number in that, and we're not sure yet on what you guys are going to agree and what NBS is going to come back. That's what that water service charges, that monthly fee.
Okay.
He didn't know what it was, and he didn't want to overstep it and understep it, so that's,
Hold on, Dan's first.
so he wanted to just be cautious with it until then.
Okay, Dan?
So as I look at this, I see capital improvements are 329,000. So we may or may not have to do all those capital improvements, or do we?
Well, we don't have to do it.
Yes.
I'd like to do as many capital
I
improvements.
understand, I'm glad you have it in here, but that may be a number that you can work with as well.
Yeah, there's some things that, they need to be done, and like right here, I was putting in $100,000 for our intake pump. I hope we don't have to put that in for our intake pump,
Okay.
but,
Yes.
and it just depends on if we get, if we get grant funding, if we get a nice loan through the USDA, a lot of this is gonna change. And then there's gonna be an addition, there's gonna be all these smaller projects we could start knocking out. Because all the estimates have been received for everything. That this, all our goals, everything's ready, just wait to see what we can do with it.
Okay.
Russ has a question.
The availability, the 5/8 3/4 meter availability is $53 a month.
Right.
Yeah.
306.
And if
53.
you got a bigger meter, a 1-inch or a 2-inch meter, is it the same thing?
It's pretty well double,
Yeah.
like 106.
So I did a rough number at $14.50 at $53, and came up a little short. But is it fair to say that we got $1,400 at $53 and
1,453 services?
yeah,
Yes.
well, I think it's 1,450 roughly
Yeah.
meters out there.
Yeah.
Of which 1,400 are probably 5/8 meters,
Yes.
saying 53.
Yes.
And then there's the school and there's a few other places around that are gonna have larger meters.
Yes.
And so, at 1,450 times 53 comes up, it's I don't know, 900 and some $1,000. So with the addition of 17 more meters, with the addition of, it's not far off.
Yeah.
If it changes it all from the $53, this might be actually pretty accurate considering it going into next year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Exactly.
just appreciate it. All right.
So,
So,
Emery had a question.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch you. Go ahead.
Heidi. Cindy, could you clarify availability and standby? What's your which? Availability is what? And standby is what?
It's the same thing.
And so.
That's non-metered lots that, they used to call it availability because you pay a certain amount a year to be available for water, which means our pipes go
So,
to your property.
Russ said, I think was incorrect, he said availability is $53 a month. That's
The metered service fee.
that's
Yeah.
service fee. Monthly service fee is 53, not availability.
The availability is the other one to the lots that don't have
They pay
meters.
a
Yes.
yearly, like
That's $100 or something.
something.
Yeah, just
Per acre.
terminology.
It's a per acre fee.
It goes according to your acreage.
Yeah. Up to a certain amount, and it's
Yeah.
capped
I
at.
think a maximum is $300, right?
No, the maximum is
180, right?
3 acres, 180, I believe, yeah.
Something like
I have to look at it, I think it's 180.
Something like that.
Starts out at 60.
Questions? You done?
No, I'm fine.
No, you okay? Anybody else?
Oh, with that, the preliminary budget, this also has a 2% COLA increase in it.
Okay. All right.
So when you approve that, you want to approve the budget and the 2%, with the 2% COLA. You want to always specify that.
Is that something you have to do? Clarify?
I think it's better for the records, that if it's clarified like that. It's actually less COLA than what was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he reduced it down.
What about the regular step increases, that's not spelled out in there. is it?
You don't approve those. Those are managerial,
But it
procedural.
is an increase in the budget, right?
No.
No, all of those are all of these are increases in the budget, but you do want to, it's best, you don't have to say with the COLA, but it's better to do that.
That way it's on record.
Yeah, that way it's on record, and it also actually covers the general manager of why he increased across the board.
Thank you for that clarification.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other comments or questions? No? Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the preliminary budget with the COLA,
2% COLA?
2% COLA, yes.
Okay.
Do I have a
And the final budget will be in July.
Second.
He's already working, to,
Emery seconded.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
You got a unanimous vote, Cindy?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we're gonna go to pages 22 through 24. This is the AT&T cell site option. We had a discussion on this last month, and I'm gonna go, any questions or concerns, sir? Oh, okay, thank you. I'm gonna bring it back to the board and back to Patrick. Patrick, you wanna give
Yeah.
us a little insight on this?
Yeah, so I left here speaking with you guys. I called a gentleman that I've been dealing with, James, and we spoke, and I said that my board decided that we wanted to go with the payment plan, and I could tell he was upset. So I felt as though there was a little bit of leverage there, negotiation. So he said, well, what would get you guys thinking about a lump sum option? So I threw a number out, and they came back, said it was too high, and gave me their last, and then we went back and forth, and this is the final option that they were willing to work with us on.
And you were at, what were you at? You were at 240?
It started at $239.
Okay, 239.
$239 for 50 years,
Right, right.
50-year lease. They came back at $331 for a 99-year lease.
Yeah.
So it is longer, but that is, that's an additional close to $100,000 that is there for us. So, it's right now we're looking at $331,000, which would be that cash infusion for the district to do some things with it.
Yeah, number one, thank you for going back and talking to him. I think that is great, because we all felt, if we did the math, which you did the math for us right here, for 2047, you said, hey, this works out to roughly 460 as we said today with our current lease up to 2047. So we're still leaving a chunk of change on the table.
Yes.
And if you look at, we're at 2020 already, and 2021, so 25 years versus a century seems kind of a long thing. So I liked what you did here, so thank you very much. And I thought about this as when I read this, I thought, okay, what happens if we take that $331,000? Like you said, it's a great cash infusion into our budget. But what does that have to do to us on our potential grant applications? If we get that money,
Is it going to hurt us or hinder? Or
is it going to hinder us? I know. I keep thinking. I look at this list of projects. And I know there's a dozen or more that we want to do.
Yeah.
That we can use the money on, so on and so forth, because of the condition of the district. But I think, okay, how do we roll the dice? I know, and I'm not putting that on you. I'm not going to put that on you.
No. It got me. Yeah, this number got me because typically I was with you guys. We stick with the payments. Made more sense in the long run. But this, I see $331,000, and I see all their sites getting done. I see a septic field getting done. Things that needs, we could, if we had to, pull the pump and do the pump ourselves. See a lot of stuff there. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Emery.
Well, your vast experience and knowledge as a manager, you're recommending.
I'm recommending that we.
Some, right?
My recommendation
Just say,
is.
'cause, all I do is say, move manager's recommendation.
My manager's
That's what you're
recommending.
recommending. And we pay to have a manager.
I am recommending that.
Yeah,
However,
I can say, I can, you know.
It's one of those, it's not a easy cut and dry recommendation, because there's so much money to be left out. But the way I simplify it, Emery, is my household gets an extra $150 a month that gets wasted. You know, if my household gets $4,000, $5,000, I can pay off some debt, you know. So, to simplify it, to take it down to, it just, I see, as the general manager, I see a lot of work that we could get done right now.
Well, let me finish what I was going to say is that, we are just mere little board members that come here one day a month. You're the manager, we pay you to manage this place, and it's your recommendation that we take this money and run.
Yes.
And if that's what you're saying, I would go with the manager's recommendation to you. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, that is my recommendation.
Oh, that's what we pay you for,
Yeah.
to make recommendations. Good or bad, right or wrong.
Danny?
Okay.
So-
So, let me go this way. Russ, any questions or comments?
I'm doing some math on past.
Okay. Mr. Dan?
So if you look at the capital improvements, it's 329,000. This covers those
Yeah.
capital improvements. I mean, and I said this last time too. I mean, it's a good idea to take the money. It's always worth more now than it is later on.
Okay.
Even if they're given 10% a year. What is it, 10% every year?
Every 5 years.
Every 5 years.
And that, I did that increase at 25 years, that puts, my math, I might have been off 1,000 or so, but it's 4,000, sorry.
The one thing I see though is if we require them to pay every year, if we require them to pay, then we have control over them to make sure that their space is maintained and all of those things that we're expecting of them. But once they pay this, will we ever see them again?
Yeah. And those are things that our legal team has looked over the contract, all that stuff. That'd be a conversation that we need to have. I'm dealing with a 25-year-old go-between in San Diego, who doesn't even, so it's hard. He doesn't even know what he's talking about, honestly. He's never been here. He's just talking numbers with me. But those would be things that, if you're granting someone a 99-year lease on your property, those are something that all that needs to be worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't know whether you're going to see them again after this, and
Or what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You lose all your,
Yeah.
someone's got a lease on your property, they do what they damn well please.
Yeah, they could.
99 years.
They could put up other things on the tower. They could do all that.
Yeah.
And they state that right there in the contract that we can't. They probably will. They will probably make money off of it somehow.
Can I ask a question, even though I'm not with the board? Receiving that big lump sum, and that's enough to pay the CIP projects,
For 1 year.
right? What, do you think that'll reduce how much NBS would have to come back with raising these rates? Because I know they were talking such a high
No,
thing on the rates.
on the rate increase, the only thing we used was intake. We didn't even use.
We didn't use all the
we didn't
capital
have to.
projects.
There's so much need in this district.
So even if we got that rate increase, we would still need the money for the capital projects. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
Well, I read this, and my initial thing last month was to go for the lump sum. But then I look at the fact that, okay, in 25 years, there are going to be a whole lot of new faces up here. And we've locked this community into something for another 7 decades. And I mean, so that's my children and my grandchildren, so that's a long, long time. So the way I feel, I agree. When I like this money, the answer is yes. But I look at the fact that, okay, in the next, I did 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 25 years, and I'm coming up with some good chunk of change, which we're leaving on the table. And I know the money's worth more today than it is. But I don't think, we can roll the dice and say cell services in 25 years, they won't be cell towers. Or will there be something else that this thing be obsolete? Who has that crystal ball?
Yeah.
So I'm a conservative, and I think, okay, as much as I'd like to have it, my other thought is, okay, in 25 years, then we can renegotiate again, or something that we won't be, you might be here in 25 years, I don't know, but I don't know.
I did the math too. In
Okay.
25 years, my number is we will have received $457,880 worth of rent. $457,000.
That's what
And it would be paid off.
I saved you all that time, bro.
He put here that you got,
Huh?
I did it all for you.
No, he's clear.
you're looking at the wrong page.
Yeah. But yeah.
Why do they not want the monthly?
Okay, well,
Because of the control
yeah,
problem.
but, we passed the $331,000 in about, I don't know, I guess it's gotta be 18 years or something.
Yeah.
But, I don't like it. It's a long, you're selling your grandchildren, the board 20 years from now, you're taking away options from them, and I don't want to do that, so.
That was my argument last month, I'll go back to that again.
Pardon me?
I said, that was my argument last month, I'll go back to it, because if we don't approve manager's rate, if we say we want the monthly, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it isn't,
Yeah, I'm
it's not a negotiating.
I think what Patrick came back is, we said we wanted the monthly last month.
Yeah,
And when he went back to this gentleman that he has been communicating with, well, the guy says, hey, what's it gonna take? And I think Patrick shot him in numbers from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, okay, we started negotiating, we were at 240 last month and he came up to 330 this month. What do you say no to?
well,
Last month, Patrick's offer when he came here to us
239.
was 239.
Oh, for the 99-year one.
Yeah, it was a 50-year at 239. And then with our little bit of talk.
50 years at 239.
Yes.
Right.
And then, so when I said we're gonna continue on with our payments, I could hear it in his voice, and I said, if you were to sweeten the offer, my board maybe,
Would consider.
would consider. So then he said, well, what are you thinking? And I said, 450. He came back and said no, and, then he met me at 311, and then I said, no, and then, so this is just, we don't have to go with that, but that's why, these are the two offers in which AT&T is presenting at this time.
so we have it right, we can pick one or the other, and they accept it. Is that it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Dan, any comments?
So I just wonder, this tower is probably 4G, it's not 5G. We don't know, but they're gonna have to do some work on it to make it 5G.
It's not a cell tower. I'm underneath it with a brand new AT&T phone and it doesn't work underneath it. It don't work a half mile away from it. Does AT&T work at your house, Nellie? You're very close.
Yeah.
AT&T does.
I think it's not a cell tower. We think everything's a cell tower. I don't
It's
think
a
it's
data tower.
It's a data tower for communication or whatever, so,
My AT&T smartphone don't like it. Connect to it at all.
Okay, so let's just go ahead and keep this thing moving. The motion here is I lever the funds and the lump sum offer. What kind of motion do I hear?
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion for the lump sum offer of $331,000.
All right, do I have a second for that?
Not here.
Okay, so that offer is not
Well,
going to,
Nellie?
Nellie, do you want to take the 331? Or do you want the monthly?
I don't know.
Okay,
Because-
Dan made a motion to take the lump sum, which is what Patrick is considered, is recommended. So do you want to second his motion, or do you want to just abide by that?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm not gonna vote, I'm not.
It dies for lack of a,
It dies right there.
Okay.
yes.
Okay,
I understand.
Okay, so now the other option is, the board has declined that lump sum offer. So do we need to make a motion?
Anyone can make another motion, or you could put it on a future agenda if you, Don't have a
Make
vote.
a motion to put, go with the monthly payment.
Okay, we have a motion to maintain the existing contract and monthly payments. Everybody second it?
okay.
All in favor?
I guess I might as well go.
Okay, so we had a unanimous vote on that to go maintain the monthly.
Give it a gift to our future generations.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right, moving on, the next item on the, is item C, pages 25 and 26. And this is, our, standby duty on-call pay for the operations team. So, any public comments?
Again, maybe just a small question, maybe.
Okay.
Because I know some of the people were here, I've been up here for a while, but they come out during the weekend and do work that has to be done, like back force filters or whatever. And then they only get, but then they get on-call basis. The on-call basis, to me, should be for emergency when you get called out. But when they come out and do a backflush, they should be getting paid an hourly wages to do that.
Yeah, that, I think you just described normal labor. If they came out on the weekend to do routine, I'll say work, that would be on, they'd be called out for, I'll say, it's gonna be an emergency basis that we'd have to do it. It's not gonna be routine work unless it's really bad, you know? So on-call, what this is about right here is they're paid to be on-call. So at a drop of a hat, if something happens, you're the go-to guy for this week. You're obligated to respond. That's what it's about.
I believe they have to come out on some weekends or every weekend and do a backflush or
Well, if we have a problem, an alarm in the plant or something, they have to come down and check the plant to make sure it's working
I
correctly.
think they don't do a backwash, that's like a regular procedure. What they come out for is to get the numbers, am I right? Get the numbers up
The
to,
backwash should be done on Friday. Specifically what you're talking about, that should be done on Friday, so it doesn't need to be done on the weekend.
Okay.
And in the past, that has been something that wasn't addressed in the summer. Sometimes we need backwashing. We just got some work done where we're not going to need to be backwashing as much now, the treatment plant. But sometimes in the summer with a lot of production going on, they were having to, this past year, they were having to come out like every other day to backwash because our water quality was going down. At that time, that hasn't been the case lately. With a lot of treatment plant upgrades, fluctuators, valves, soft starts that put in and really help that out, so there shouldn't be as much backwashing.
Lake water level too, and when we were way down, we were getting the mud.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's a whole different ballgame.
I think this is the pay they get
Yeah, this
regardless
is-
whether they get called out or
Yeah,
not.
Right, this is to take on that responsibility of, I'll call it on-call duty.
Yeah,
This is I'm giving up a week, and even so, if they don't get one call in the week, to simplify it, they're sitting at home or they're within an hour, ready and prepared to work at all times. So they can't go to Modesto, they can't take their wives out on a date or whatever you have.
Can't drink.
You can't drink. They were compensated 4 hours. So if they didn't get a call all week, they were compensated 4 hours for pulling that call. So to me, right off the bat, that was low just from where I'm coming from. So I wanted to do my due diligence and look, just because maybe where I came from, they were overpaying us, right?
So ask, so how is this different from what we're doing right now?
Well, what I'm stating is right now, they get 4 hours. So to give up their week, they get 4 hours of guaranteed pay. So I'm recommending we raise that to 8 hours. So I'm right because I called Groveland, MID, City of Merced, and City of Modesto. So, they're similar but different. I call districts, CSDs, and municipalities. We have 16 to 18 hours usually given. Yeah. And I knew, because City of Modesto was 18 hours, I knew that from working there. And I knew that's the high end, right?
So if they're on call for a week, they get 18 hours. This is Modesto, I'm sorry.
Just
They get 18
if
hours
they would
paid,
get called.
even if they don't get called.
Yeah, so does, City of Merced gets 16, even if they don't get called. Grove, I keep saying Tuolumne,
Yeah.
Groveland's 14. MID's 16, Merced Irrigation District. So just being there, ready, they get that. So I think those are kind of on the high ends,
Yes.
But there's somewhere to be meet in the middle. I know me personally, pulling call, I don't want to pull call for 4 hours of time or give up my week for 4 hours. So I thought that this would help operations out. And it's also, it's decent for the district, it's not going to affect us.
It says overtime rate, is that time and a half or double? What is this?
Overtime rate,
Specifically, is it time and a half?
well, this is following our policy right here, so it's backed up with a policy, which is on the next page. So the policy number,
No, his simple question is, they get paid for 4 hours, but it's a time and a half.
yes, it's a time and a half.
Unless it's a
It's
holiday.
not double time.
No, it's not double time, because
Okay, hold on.
it's just the stipend.
Unless it's a holiday, what?
I think if it's a holiday, they might get double.
Okay.
4 hours shall be paid at the after-hours calls or at the overtime rate as a lump sum stipend for the responsibility. So the overtime rate is 1.5 times.
Okay.
So,
Up to 12, and then it's, probably over 12 or...
but this is, yeah. It states, it's at the overtime rate, which is 1.5 times. So what this would do, say a guy makes, just round number $30 an hour, so 30 times, 4 hours, so he'd be getting $120 pre-tax.
Okay, let me take it out. Let's say I'm working, and I'm going to have a 40-hour week because I'm working, but I'm also on call. And so I get called out, and I work 6 more hours.
You're gonna get paid.
Right. But then I don't get any more calls the rest of the week. So then that would be 40 plus...
No, the 40, we don't count the 40 because that's his regular time. Right?
Okay.
So if I can,
But what I'm getting at is that when I went over 12 hours that day, that I worked 6 hours later, had a regular shift, then I worked 6 hours. So I got 6 hours of straight time, I got 4 hours of time and a half and 2 hours of double time?
That's the way it works. That's the way it boils down. Yep.
And then at some point I get 2 more hours of time and a half for the week if I didn't get called again. So, okay, I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's just, there's no hidden agenda here. 4 hours, just for me, it's if they never get a call and they stay at home, they don't do anything, and they get compensated 4 hours.
they get compensated 4 hours at time and a half, so they're getting compensated for 6 hours of regular time.
6 hours of regular time.
Right.
I think that it's industry standard, that's a bit low.
Okay.
I understand.
Long before you were here, Patrick, there was a woman, her name was Brenda. She worked up at Groveland or one of those, okay? And we had this discussion about on-call, and she said, with a little district like this, everybody's on call. And it's true, because if you got a guy who's 3 other...
Yeah, they all go.
3 guys, they gotta go, they're not getting that money, but he is. Everybody's on call, really. And everybody should not get drunk, because that's one of the issues I talked to her about, is the drinking. But in a small district, everybody has to be ready to work. And this is a good idea, but, everybody really is on call. If you
Well,
have
they are,
big
they're
enough.
not, though. They're not.
Well, they are if there's a problem, because you say, I need somebody for the backhoe, I need somebody for traffic control. They're on call.
Yeah, unfortunately,
They can be on call, but they cannot be fit for duty.
they can say I'm not coming in.
Well, that was the issue we were talking about, is
Yeah.
drinking, and she said, in a little district like this, they're not allowed to do that. You've got to get exceptional people that are always ready, and it's really difficult, because we're small, and you could be called out in the middle of the night,
Well,
and they have been since 08, since I've been here many times.
They just went out May 31st, Sunday, and they fixed a leak.
How many? All?
Oh, yeah, all three of them, yeah.
So one guy gets call pay, the other one gets what? That's what my.
They got overtime pay.
Well, I think,
And the other guy got an extra 4?
well, because
Well,
he was the
Kelly
lead,
gets
he was the guy that's on the duty, the first call is gonna go to the guy that's on the duty call, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna say, okay, is this something I have to respond to today? He's gonna have to assess and say, do I have to get this fixed
Yeah.
today, or can I do something, or can I wait till tomorrow when the whole crew gets here?
Yep.
And he's probably gonna talk to Patrick, if it's a leak, do you want me to do this now, or whatever. So he's our, I'll say, our first point of contact for the district on call. Or an alarm goes off, a tank alarm goes off, or whatever, we have water running down the street. So that guy's gonna get this stipend regardless of whatever else happens. If something else breaks down and more people are required, they're gonna be called in and they're gonna get the appropriate wages and overtime and so on and so forth for the work that they perform,
But
okay?
they always have to be sober because they could potentially be called at all times. That's my problem with the with this
But see,
provision. Because
I see what you're saying.
It's not realistic.
In theory, I see what you're
They all
saying.
should get it. is what I
In
would say.
theory, I see what you're saying, but you can't tell someone that they can't drink, you know, if they're not on call.
No, I
So,
understand.
you know what I mean? So, but I get to run our system, yeah, we need some people ready to work, willing whenever they are. So like this, on the Sunday, Randy went out, he said, I think it will hold. I said, send me a picture. I said, no, we need to get that taken care of now. And he called Jose and Augustine, they were here,
Right.
come fix it. you
Now,
know?
but take that same, hold on, take that same scenario. If Jose was not available, could Augustine and Randy have fixed it? Maybe.
And they
not.
couldn't, I volunteered, because I volunteered.
you're-
No, well,
You're next.
I was in that message, I said, actually, Randy's, in that message, I said, I would like to come out here. He said, sorry, boss, we'd appreciate if you stayed at home. But I volunteered for it because I like fixing leaks. But yeah, it's just something, you know, for this action item, it's just getting us,
We're far better off right now than we've been since I've been on the board. So I just don't see this as, you know, we're better off by far than we were 2 years ago or a year ago. So,
Absolutely.
so I don't see a problem.
and in addition to those numbers you were looking at on the budget with operations, I did, you know, this is kind of, there's extra money on the preliminary budget for operations.
So anyway, here's my question. So if somebody's called out and they're not on call, okay, this is what I.
So they go out, assess it, we need some people out here to fix the leak, they call the other two guys, is what you're saying?
I say they should get the pay. That's the reason I brought this up.
Oh, no, the stipend bid?
Yes.
No.
Well, they weren't. Well, why? They were.
They're getting paid.
They're getting overtime pay.
So was the other guy.
I think because they're not quite required
Yeah.
to come
You're not
in and
required,
on
but you
that.
have to be.
I'm just saying that's the difference.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying whether they should be required or not required, I'm saying that's why they don't get that stipend, because they're not required to come in.
Somebody could be
Yeah, but
out.
they have to be work ready.
No, I mean,
Why would you pay somebody if they're out of town at the
No,
go?
if they came in to work, I'll shut
they
up.
get the time and a half.
They'd get the, is that
Unless
what it is? Time and a half?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can.
That's normal business protocol. I mean, if anybody
But
worked,
they don't get
the extra hours because they're not required to be there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, ready, willing,
But
and
they
able.
are getting overtime pay.
Well,
I like to fish in Lake Don Pedro. I put the boat in and I go up above the Worth Ferry Bridge in that canyon. Nobody can get a hold of me.
That's
I
why you
am
go
up
there.
there, you know, or whenever. You can't get me. My boss can't call and chase me down.
simple, you're fired.
But, you know,
I fired you just now.
no, on a weeknight you can't get me because I put in my
You know,
hour.
and just a comment on call, just, you guys, yeah, I've been here a year now, so I've seen it. I've been called by our answering service once.
Okay, and that
Because
was,
they weren't able to get it in, so I'm just saying, the guys have done a good job at answering the phone.
here's my question too. I mean, you gave us City of Modesto, City of Merced, and Groveland.
And MIB.
Okay. We don't compare to any of those agencies.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, I'm going to push back here because if I was with the city of Modesto, I could see this being a pain in my butt because I would get called frequently due to the sheer volume of service accounts, so on and so forth. Merced the same thing. I can't comment on Groveland. I know Groveland's bigger than us, and they have multiple services that they provide where we provide one. I want to know the frequency of calls that our staff is experiencing. Give me a number. How many times is somebody on call being called? Okay? Are we getting one call a week, 2 calls a week, or whatever? Because I come from a different industry where I was on call and I had the duty for 5,000 major customers in Southern California, Edison, and we covered the entire service territory. So I was on call, no compensation, and up all night and then expected to go to work and do a great job the next day. So to me, this is, I follow where you're coming from, but I need more information before I can support this because I want to know what are they having to do, what's the frequency, and if I'm getting one call while I'm on, when I'm on the duty or on call, if I'm getting one call and I have to make a phone call or do something and I'm getting paid 6 hours to make a phone call one time a week, that's pretty damn good compensation from my perspective. And of course, I'll go back, I'm a conservative
But
person.
see, I'm just saying, it's not so much what they're doing, it's what they're giving up to.
I know that, but
To
still.
sit there.
Okay, but I'm looking at if we go from, so for 4 hours, they're getting 4 hours of time and a half, so they're getting 6 hours of pay. 6 hours of pay, correct? All right, so Monday through Friday, you know you're going to be going to work anyway the next day. So, if you get drunk, and you can't go to work, then you call in sick. It is what it is. But to I'll say double it, I have an issue with that because I need more information because I want to know.
Yeah, the call volume, I didn't bring information on the call volume
Yeah.
because that wasn't, regardless to me, and it's just, regardless if they get 100 calls or 0, it's just the giving up of the week.
Right.
So that's very, and this is coming forth because this is something that the employees brought to my attention the day one of me starting here. And I've wanted to see how this has been for the past year before I bring it to you guys. I'll do some research on that.
I'm only one. The rest of the board can vote.
I
board can vote.
I want to clarify where I was coming from. If it's a Saturday night, you get called out, and you're not the on-call guy, right? You get the time and a half. But I think you should get the 4 hours. I know nobody's going to support that, but I think you should get the 4 hours because you gave up your Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
That's my feeling. I was also on call 24/7, 365, but I was management, so I didn't go all day all the time. I didn't get anything for it.
But Emery,
Yes, sir.
in most places, in normal employment, you got a minimum amount of hours you pay for somebody to just show up. If you turn them and send them home again, because they can't work for whatever reason, you still have to pay them X amount of hours.
Fatigue time.
So if you call somebody out, I know the state rules for a minimum of 2 hours, and it may be 4. So that no matter what, if somebody shows up to do something after hours, they've already put in their age, so it's going to be overtime. And it's going to be no less than 2 hours for just showing up. So it may be 4 hours just by state, not.
Okay, so for Saturday night, not on call,
Yeah.
if it's a 2-hour job you're gonna get paid for, I'm okay with that.
I mean, they're going to get at least 2 hours, and it's going to be time and a half.
Yeah,
That's a minimum. That's going to be by state rules. But it could be 4 hours, but I know for sure it's at least
Well, if you get
2.
4 hours, I mean, no matter if you work 10 minutes, and that
Yeah,
sounds
that's
okay
it.
to me. Yeah,
In other words, the same hours out, and everybody shows up at our plant, they get paid half a day if they get sent home immediately. They just reported to work and they can't work
That's
that
state
day.
rule?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm okay with that.
I would work for the state.
No, it's state rule. That's just what you have
But
to do.
the thing
is
that,
state rule.
like I
hadn't
say,
heard that.
we're talking rate increases, we're talking projects and stuff like that.
So I got a question. So if they don't get called out during the week at all, they just get their six up.
They get their 4, that is 6, yeah, they're 4 at a time and a half, yeah.
What is the average salary hourly of an operator? And I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, no, in California or
No,
in
here.
Central Valley?
Here.
Oh, average salary of an operator, their average, so are 3 divided,
I'm not gonna hold you.
$26 an hour.
Okay, so 6 hours, 26, so if they don't get a call, they get an extra $150 for the week. It's easy way, so you're gonna go from $150 a week to $300 a week.
So the other thing is,
That's a no-
when they get called out,
Once in 3 weeks.
they're gonna get paid overtime, but they also get this 4.
Yeah, if they get called out, they get additional money on top of this.
Yeah, so we're,
I
I
just,
agree with you.
there's a couple things that I want you guys to think about just moving, because this isn't gonna keep anybody from not working with it at the district, this policy change. However, these are things that they could keep people from wanting to pull call here. You know, so if someone was to not want to pull call here, I don't know if that'd be an issue.
Is it a condition of employment?
Well,
Because if it's not, then we can change the policy to make it a condition of employment.
Yeah.
Just like any other utility that says you may be called out to work on an emergency basis. That's conditions of employment. If you chose not to do that, then you'd have an option to go someplace else and work.
Do these guys volunteer for this?
No, it's a sign.
they do it. Yeah, they do it right now. They do it 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Augustine was going to take his test, and he would in March, but the COVID stopped the test, so he doesn't have his treatment cert. Because then that's going to go. Then they get a month break. Each guy gets a month break. But right now, they're giving up 2 weeks out of their month. And they're not, the call volume isn't there. The call volume is not there, so that's more so the issue. If the call volume was there, this wouldn't be an issue. Because then they'd be,
Yes.
hey, we're getting compensated on going, huh?
You pull call?
No,
I think
I
that was
don't
in our
pull call.
job description.
No, it was as
We take it out?
recommended,
Oh,
or
okay.
it was something. No, that was one of the first things I said to you. But I can't pull call. However, I will be available if need be anytime. And I've never been called,
Okay.
never. So with that, if they were making more money on their call, I don't think this would be so much of an issue. But since they're giving up 2 weeks out of their month to sit at home, to wait for the phone call already, personally,
This is a negotiated benefit to me. And if we look at our medical and everything else that we provide.
which is great.
Which is a negotiated benefit, which is money out of this district pocket, and the holidays and everything else. So, to me, we have to stop, I'll say, bleeding completely all the time. We can't just always just give. We have to balance it. So if we want to say, okay, yeah, we'll give you this, but we're going to take back, you're going to work an extra day a month, we're going to take a holiday, or you're going to start paying more for your medical, everyone's going to get pissed again. So you have to have some balance in here. So when we looked at the wages, salaries, and benefits of our team, because we've heard this as the board numerous times, we don't pay the same as other districts. But when you factor in all of the benefits, we pay at a very good competitive salary when you do everything. So that's where I'm pushing back here a little bit.
I agree with that,
Yeah,
statement,
so-
Danny. I agree with it. On the compensation, the benefits are excellent. They're,
Yeah.
they're much better than what I left.
Right.
Just in relation to typically gentlemen that do our line of work, they make their money on overtime.
Mm-hmm.
City of Merced, MID, City of Modesto, they're making $100,000 a year. Working leaves.
But you know what? They're also working. They're
Yes.
getting up. They're not sitting at home waiting for a phone call
Yeah.
because their butts are out of the house working all night on links, and that's my. So when you compare what we give for our little district here to a city of Modesto, there's no comparison because of the issues.
Yeah, and with it, I agree with what you guys are saying. What I'm doing here, or I believe this is right. That's what I'm bringing to you guys. That is my recommendation. I do believe this. But I'm also, this is something after a year of employment here, this is the first thing, this is something that our employees have asked me to work towards, and it's something that I saw, so here it
No,
is.
I respect the fact to bring it to us. The thing I want to know is, how much are they going to call? Because as a board member, I have to be, I'll say, respectful to the district and everybody involved, to say, am I making a good decision for the community?
2 to 3 calls a week.
2 to 3 calls a week. Okay, that surprises me because I didn't know we got that many calls.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're 2 to 3 calls, and it's a lot of times it's nothing but, 2 to 3 calls a week.
But those 2 or 3 calls a week, he comes out here, he gets paid overtime, plus he gets his 4 hours. His 4 hours.
No overtime. Yeah, now, there's times where they don't get any calls. That happens too.
Yes, but then that's.
My first week here, Jose was out numerous hours out, lining up contractors though to come out here and fix our leaking pipes, in the middle of the night, which is an issue we don't have to do anymore. But so it varies, but I'd say 2 is a closer average. But anyhow.
Okay. Well, I'm just one voice, so the other board members can make the recommendations, go
One other
forward.
comment. These guys aren't unionized. All they gotta do is pick up the phone, call the county, they could be in ACIU tomorrow. The way people deal with the unions is you don't give them good benefits and treat them well and, take care of them. You want them to not be unionized, take care of these guys, make them happy. You get a union, then you're really, because then the wages are just really astronomical and the benefits too. You got good, but they would even probably be better. Look at the county, they can't even pay for their retirement benefits because they're so broke all the time. Oh well, I can't think what else I was going to tell you.
Okay, well, you guys make a motion, go forward.
No, we're coming back with information for you.
No, you don't have to. I mean,
You have the option, come back with more information, make a motion to deny it, make a motion to pass it.
I'm just the facilitator.
Or it could be no action taken and just,
My feeling would be, you ask for more information, that's reasonable, and we can bring it back next month with this other information. Obviously, I would support this stuff, but, he raised some good
Call
points.
volume and applicable, or someone comparing apples to apples.
And
The
Patrick,
district.
Hey, unless somebody else has something else, that would be my opinion.
as far as that is our call volume, and then when they get called, what are they having to do? Give us some education so we can make a good decision. That's all. Because I gotta look at the community. We're looking at raising rates, and we're gonna raise salaries. We have phenomenal benefits, phenomenal holidays. The work environment here is very good, and all of that
The
stuff.
other thing I'd like to know is, how long are they here? On the average, how long are they here once they're called?
Sometimes they don't even, they're called, when you say here.
How long are they out?
Well,
On the average?
I can find that out. I don't know the exact. A lot of these calls, a lot of times they get called SCADA, waking them up throughout the night numerous times.
They get their
SCADA
computer,
alarms,
they
SCADA
get to
alarms.
take a computer to do that, right?
What was that?
They have a laptop at home to deal with that, right?
They have their phone.
Whatever, no,
Yeah.
for the problem.
Yeah.
Some
But
stuff can be taken care of on,
yes.
I just did some math on this, and the difference between what we do now and what you're proposing, if you add the cost of benefits to the $26, $27 an hour, what we're really talking about, to double this hours, is about $12,600. It's a little over $1,000 a month. It's basically the amount of dollars we're talking about here. It's $12,600 a month cost
A year.
double this per year.
It's another, like you said, 12 grand a year approximately.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Time you the 4 hours, extra 4 hours a week of scheduled overtime.
We just
So
paid
that's
for
what
that
we're
with
talking about.
AT&T.
I think that this is something that should be brought up when we do our annual payroll discussion and thing. This should be a part of that discussion, not stand alone by itself.
Well, it's in the budget already. He's already, in the preliminary budget, he already put that in there in anticipation of this. And it isn't, all I'm trying to say is we have to do due diligence to the community here and say, okay, we already pay good benefits and our salaries are say, are competitive. Now, this is one area we fall short, but do we really have the same dynamics as the other people?
But don't we discuss benefits once a year?
You don't discuss the salary charts or anything
No, we don't
unless there's a
discuss
big
any of
change in
that.
it.
The salary charts are already set out with everything.
Same to me, we talk about.
No,
I
okay.
think 1 year Pete put it in and then realized he wasn't supposed to do.
Right, the salaries are already out there. And
Yeah, the salary chart's there.
So, Emery, you said let's hold off and bring more information, put it on next month's agenda.
Basically honoring what you asked for and, get more information about it.
Okay.
Danny, to make that very clean, if that's what everyone wants, we can do a consensus of the board. Unless everyone doesn't agree, then we don't
Okay.
move forward with it, to keep the minutes
Yeah.
straight.
So again, I'm with you, but I also would like to know, on the average, how much time are they out?
Okay, so that's one more thing.
More
Patrick can bring
information.
back more information. Nellie, how do you feel? Okay, Russ?
I'm conflicted on this one, I don't know.
So can you?
I want to think about this.
Okay, do you want to make a motion on this now, or do you want more information in the agenda next month? We're trying to come to a board consensus.
Consents without me, I don't know where I stand.
So we have.
So 4 out of 5 want to bring it
Want
back?
more information next month.
All right.
Okay, a majority consensus?
Fine, I'll go fine, because I don't know where.
Hey, that's fine.
Okay, all right, thank you, folks, all right. Last item on today's agenda is page 27, and this is Board of Directors receiving the monthly board packet via email, and has transitioned to providing monthly board packet to all board members via email. Packets will be sent electronically to directors, tablets, specific Gmail accounts, and the district has created. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Can you guys not take a vote until I get back? You can discuss it, but not, I've got to let go
Okay.
someone in the office.
Okay.
I've got to lock up real
Okay.
quick. You can discuss it, just don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just don't trip and fall in the parking lot.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just, I guess we had issues with our tablets. Was anybody able to access this on their tablets?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to figure it out of the box.
Nellie, did you use your tablet?
Working on it, trying to get,
So I think I'd like to meet next month. So I don't know, I think we need to wait for Cindy that to.
No, here, I agree with what you're saying, because my thing here is, I'm all for this, but we need training prior
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And I know we can't make a decision, and as we think about this, so we don't have to put everybody in a small space. I mean, it's a lot for you, but could we schedule training independently, around the table, we're okay. I mean, the other option, and Russell's gonna be the hardest, because, his schedules and so on and so forth, but if we wanted to try to do it, say, okay, go to Dan's house, go to Nellie's house, my
I
house,
think it's gonna take 5 minutes for each of you guys.
okay?
Yeah,
It isn't that hard to get on, I've been on it,
yeah,
but
it's that cheat sheet I gave you guys.
Mhm.
That's exactly it. It shows how to press the button, turn it on, slide up, press the button, and you're there.
But my concern, and I was just so in other words, we're gonna have our tablets right in front of us while we're here.
No.
No.
We're gonna make a packet for you.
Oh, they are gonna make a
You're gonna
packet?
make a packet, from what I understand. When you walk in, all you're going to do is, it's almost no different than we're doing it today.
Okay.
You get it electronically today on your computer, and you can read it, whatever.
Yes.
But the whole concept is, these packets that have been graciously delivered to us at home, that will stop, and you'll have a packet when you walk. There'll be a packet sitting right here when you walk in, and you can make notes prior to coming in.
But I don't need this then, because it comes to my email already, and I have it, and I don't need a fourth device in my life.
Well,
I just don't need this.
Well, but just in case this pandemic prolongs and we have to go to where we can't, there may come a time where we are unable to do this.
What's,
Can you store this until then? I have no need for this. I really don't want it. I have no need for it. I got 3 devices in my life and I don't need a 4th. I will not turn it on. If you're sending it to my home computer already, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I don't want this delivered anymore. I love to have it right here, paper.
Okay.
I would be the happiest guy in the world, but I don't need this thing.
Okay. So,
The Zoom meetings are coming.
okay.
What? They have to
Hold
Zoom
on.
You would
meetings.
need it
No, it
if
wasn't.
we had Zoom.
Oh, I could put it in I want on my
For Zoom.
computer.
Yeah, and that's why we purchased those, is because the Zoom. If we're unable to physically meet, we're gonna have to have that ability through the tablet.
But you can Zoom on anything.
But I have that all, but that has it all dialed in, a cheat sheet on you so you can do it. I'll call you up and say, okay, we're gonna Zoom next week off your
I
computer.
hope the batteries are charged when you call me.
Hey, Cindy, got a question for you. Now,
Sure.
a statement was made, and I'm not sure if it's accurate, that if we get this on the tablet at home, when we
Yeah.
come in, there's gonna be a packet on the table when we get here, is that correct?
I think that would be a good idea so that you have the physical packet and it just, honestly, I'm pushing for this idea, just as I'm assuming Patrick is, for our guys sometimes to go out and have to deliver packets, the hours, the gas and everything, when they could be doing something
I agree.
else. It is time consuming, and with the laws, basically, legally, we have to deliver you a packet. This falls under the guidelines that you have received your packet. It also shows us that you received your packet.
Do you sending us an email to our personal emails today, does that warrant that guideline that a packet has been delivered?
Yes, but it actually is even a more of a backup that you're using something from our facility that we provided for you, a special email so that it's not. Let me tell you, part of that is if you're using that for district.
You mean the tablet?
No, your personal email.
Yeah, never mind. It's actually good for us if we send it through the tablet. It's just nice and concise and clean, that it's not bogged down with all your other emails.
I've often thought about, having one of those guys come out and deliver our packets. I've always thought, there's no reason I can't come down and pick up a packet, but, and I just don't, I agree, I don't like seeing them having to deliver a packet and us paying for them to be out here delivering a packet. And so I'm trying to remember how they did it for the school board, because they didn't deliver the packets, but we always got them. And I can't remember how that happened. But.
Okay. Mr. Emery?
The reason I think that the packet is delivered is this a fairly thankless job, and you really don't get anything, $100 is not much. And it's been, all the years I worked at the district, the board members always got a packet. It's like a little perk. And when I was working, please let me indulge me in this, but we would meet once a month up at BART, and all the chiefs of protective services and police would meet. And I remember the guy from Golden Gate Bridge District, Bill Rumford, I'll never forget it. He'd always complain that one of the perks that they had a limousine for the board members, and they would bring them to the meetings, and if they wanted to go shopping, the Golden Gate Bridge District is probably the most wealthy district there is, and they would have to take him shopping and pick him up and do things with the limousine, and he hated it, It's just a perk, and this is just a little perk that they've always had for board members. Something that I don't need, because I can get that to the tablet, email to my computer, Betsy can print it out on blue paper, and the reason I like to have this is I make notes, and I put little sticky notes, because they refuse to put dividers as to where stuff is. They don't ever put any kind of dividers, so you have to put sticky notes. You do that, it helps. But I think, and it saves paper, and if Cindy sneezes on this and uses her virus on it and brings it to us, then we got the virus. So I think it's a really good idea to not use, I I print my own out, I'm happy to do that. I don't need one here, because I'll bring my own, and I have a stock of blue paper. But I would like to have dividers, and I do like to make notes. It's hard to make notes on this thing, for me.
Well, I will say, though, that sometimes we have to pull this district out of 1978 and bring it forward to now, because a lot of things were back in the day when I started, they were still writing things that we now have in the computers. This is just another step to get us kind of fast forward. And if something were to happen where we would have to go back to meetings using these tablets, they're already in place, ready to go, where we didn't have that whenever the pandemic, and we lost 2 meetings, because of that.
I don't know if I was clear, but I'm totally supportive of doing it, I have no problem.
Yeah.
And I would just email, Betsy told me, just email from there to ours, because I guess you can't print off of that, and then I can print on blue paper.
You can hook up probably a Wi-Fi printer on that.
You can print off of it.
And as far as your dividers go, the reason that we don't put dividers in is sometimes we will not know until the last minute. We're waiting on information, not usually from us, not from me or not from
Page
him.
numbers.
Page numbers and everything, and we will get
this month we had to do
information
that.
from like some of the companies like NBS or whatever it is, our treasurers, or some of the things come in late and we're having to collate it all, get it out, otherwise you're waiting on another day for us to do that. That's why we don't do that
Well,
now.
this stuff is all blended together. I mean, just we're talking about board packets, it's blended together, and fortunately, Betsy will go through and put little sticky notes.
Yeah.
Makes it great, she puts 5D, 5C, whatever, and I can find them easy.
A lot
And she'll do it for free.
A lot of things, what divides it, and we can get better at, is you'll see a staff report before an item.
Betsy said if they would just even put a blank piece of paper, it would help.
I understand. But you have to remember, I'm pulling things off a computer
I
and
understand.
putting them together. I'm not actually printing and putting them together.
Well, I don't have to worry about it, because she
Yeah.
does it. So I don't want to tell you,
Yes.
her complaint, not mine.
Yes.
Okay, where are we at?
I'll make a motion to approve this.
Okay.
And what is it we're approving?
We're adopting this procedure moving forward that the district will gain, so the district can gain consistency and move forward. So basically what we're going to do is your monthly board packet will come via the tablet. That will be a consistent method that the secretary can note that you're giving it, question, can the existing emails continue to receive those same board packets, or are you going to take our personal emails off of that list?
I won't say that I'm taking the personal emails off, yes or no. I do have it set up right now to go to both. What you can do is approve this to begin in September, and I'll send you one in July. I'll do it both in July, and you guys can work out whatever issues you have and still deliver a packet. In July, I'll send it to, we'll send it to your tablets and have you a packet delivered. You'll try and get everything together on your tablet. If there's any issues, then we can figure out what those are, so that by September, you'll be able to get them clearly on your.
Okay.
We can do it for a few months until, what I'm basically saying, we can do it for a few months until you get with it. If we vote on it, that doesn't mean like, okay, we're not giving you a packet. We'll do it until you guys are comfortable with
If you don't
the
send it to
tablet.
my email, you better call me, because you'll probably find me not here because I didn't know there was a meeting. Because you didn't deliver a packet, you didn't send it to my email, and I didn't realize it was the Thursday.
I had the same thing happen to me once, but
Okay.
I usually
All
don't.
right, so we have a motion.
Wait a minute, did we get public comment or not?
No, we didn't, I apologize.
Well, I just thought about it.
Thank you.
I personally think it's a good idea.
Okay, thank
Good.
you. Okay, do I have a second?
Welcome to meetings then.
Okay, Emery seconded.
Emery, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Russ?
I abstain. I'm just gonna.
Russ is abstaining, so we
Okay,
have
4 to 1.
yes. All right, so that will conclude today's meeting of the Lake Don Pedro Community Services District with the Secretary. Please note it's 2:47 p.m.
Okay.
on June 15th, 2020. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
And if everybody can just hang out for just a minute after the meeting, I'd appreciate it. So, thank you so
Thank you for
much.
coming.
Thanks, guys, have a good day.
Thanks, sir.
Hey, will we see you
Mentioned
again?
down at the market not too long ago.
Cindy, what do you need us for?
Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, I do remember, yeah.
Will we see you again for all this interesting stuff?
I might pop in and out now and then.